I'll open the floor for a motion to come out of executive session as of 5:54 p.m. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second to return to open public session as of 5:54. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, ladies and gentlemen of the public, we are now in open public session. At this time, I will turn the meeting over to Superintendent McCombs for a special recognition.
Testing. Good evening, everyone. We want to start our meeting this evening with a very special presentation, as our board secretary has shared. This week is Board of Education Recognition Month by school boards all across America. It's a time when, this month actually, of January, is a time when we can say to our board members, thank you. Thank you for your service. Thank you for your dedication. Thank you for your commitment. Board members are not paid, so everything they do is voluntary, and it's based on their own desire, their will, their motivation, their integrity in wanting to make sure that our young people are advancing educationally. And so we have a very special proclamation. If I can have our board vice president to come join me at the podium. And we actually tonight have a joint proclamation from the mayor of the city of Camden, the Honorable Mayor Victor Karstafen, as well as myself, the superintendent of the Camden City School District. And the proclamation reads, in recognition of Camden City School District's Advisory Board. Whereas on Tuesday, January 31st, 2023, the Office of the Mayor and the City of Camden, together with Superintendent of Schools, Katrina McCombs, join in recognizing the City of Camden School Advisory Board members who are committed to educating our children. And whereas the Camden City Board of Education's mission is to provide the learning environments wherein all students are valued, accepted, and prepared to positively impact their lives, the community, and the world. And whereas the advisory board members work with students, parents, and families in providing an educational vision we want for our students, for our parents, educators, and community members. And whereas it is appropriate that the City of Camden recognizes and honors those esteemed individuals that contribute to the enrichment of their community through their determination and service. Now, therefore, I, Victor G. Karstafen, Mayor of the City of Camden, do hereby recognize and commend the members of the Camden City Advisory Board and express my appreciation for their work on behalf of the City of Camden, and I extend best wishes and continued success on all their future endeavors. And this has the seal of the City of Camden, and it is in conjunction with the Camden City School District. Thank you, and I will present this to our board vice president, Mr. Nnamdi Nelson. Let's give our board a round of applause. Welcome. And at this time, in this order, if I can ask the advisory board members to join me at the podium, and then we can take a picture together to memorialize this special day. And the certificate reads, and I'll just read the first one, Certificate of Appreciation. This certificate is proudly presented to Advisory Board member Jeanette Alvarez in recognition of dedicated service to the students and families of our community, presented by Superintendent Katrina T. McCombs, Camden City School District. Ms. Alvarez, if you would come forward at this time. Congratulations. You're welcome. And you can just make a line right across the front. Mr. Clayton Gonzalez, please join us at the front. Thank you for your service. Ms. Danielle Jackson, one of our newest board members. Thank you. Thank you. Ms. Naima Gillespie, returning board member. Thank you. Mr. Cameron Hudson, thank you for your service. Ms. Karen Merricks, thank you for your service. Mr. Falio Leyva Martinez, thank you for your service. Mr. Nnamdi Nelson, Vice President of the Board of Education, thank you for your service. And we also have one for our board president who is not here. Let's give our board members a round of applause. And we're going to take a picture to memorialize this moment, so we may have to just spread down just a bit, and you'll join me in the center. Sure. At this time, we'll turn it back into the hands of our board secretary to lead us through the rest of the agenda.
Thank you, Superintendent. At this time, we're now going to have our committee reports from the board members. Reporting out first from the Policy and Governance Committee, we have Board Member Cameron Hudson.
Good evening, everyone. The Policy and Governance Committee met on January 23rd. It was attended by myself, Board Member Jackson, and Sam Price and Allison Hester Solomon. We just gave some updates on upcoming trainings and opportunities for other board members. On February 23rd from 7 to 8:30 p.m., you have the Camden Gloucester County virtual meeting. And then on March 7th, there's a board training which could potentially be moved to March 9th in case it collides with the work session. And then we also review board goals from the August retreat and progress towards those goals. Board Goal 1 is to develop a governance code of conduct for board members that will support the board in fulfilling their oversight responsibilities professionally and proficiently. And then Board Goal 2 is to develop an onboarding and orientation plan for new members to join the governance team efficiently and effectively. And then we have new policies and policy revisions. Policy 9112, which is pertains to the student representative to the Board of Education. Policy 6145.4, which is for student journalism. And policy 110.2 in regards to social media for district purposes. And our next meeting is on February 20th, 2023. Thank you. So we have policies that are up for first reading. Board Policy 6145.4, student journalism. The committee is recommending the adoption of new policy 6145.1 regarding student journalism. Specifically, the committee is proposing to adopt a new policy in compliance with the New Voices legislation passed in December 2021, protecting the rights of student journalists. And then the second one is Board Policy 1110.2, social media for district purposes. the committee is recommending a new policy regarding the use of social media for district purposes. Specifically, the committee is proposing to adopt a new policy which sets forth guidance and procedures for any social media account used for district purposes and to establish guidance for responding to media inquiries. That's it. Thank you.
At this time, I would like to respectfully ask for a motion to accept policy 6145.1 and policy 1110.2 to be approved for first reading. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, policies 6145.1 and 1110.2 have been approved for first reading. Second reading and final adoption will be held at the February board meeting. At this time, I will turn it over to Board Member Alvarez to report out on the Finance and Operations Committee.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you, Ray. The Finance and Operations Committee met on January 25th. The individuals in attendance was board members Faluleva Martinez, myself, School Board Administrator Ray Cox, as well as VP Nelson. We also welcomed aboard the new Security Senior Director, Myron Cox, as well as Senior Manager Sultan Gray. Senior Security Director Cox priorities is to include or continue to develop a working relationship with Metro Police Department and ensure that all related security issues remain in-house unless he deems necessary. On the finance of fiscal year 21-22, we are headed in a positive direction. Thank you, Ray. This will address most of the concerns with building issues. We also spoke about the facilities. There has been repairs done with Dudley School. There are ongoing conversations about Eastside High School as well. We also made a recommendation to revise the employee handbook. The committee recommended that there be an in-depth look at the policies that have been put in place to ensure that our students and faculty are safe, specifically evacuation plans, safety plans, and security plans. That concludes our Finance and Operations Committee report. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Alvarez. And next, reporting on the Teaching and Learning Committee, we have Board Member Clayton Gonzalez.
Thank you, Ray. In the Teaching and Learning Committee, it was myself, Danielle, Dr. Martinez, and Chrissy. Nye. My bad. Some of the things that we discussed was a suggestion brought up by Sister Nye regarding the social and emotional learning in our schools, and the suggestion of a art competition, which is still being looked into and finalized the details throughout the district. Another part of the meeting took place with the multi-tier intervention system that we currently use in place, and currently evaluating 2 different systems just to see which, to determine which ones works best for our district and for the longevity of our district, essentially measuring which one's most cost effective as well. A summary of the student data, which is to be reported by our superintendent today, so she'll go into detail with that in her presentation. The all-staff PD, which is to take place on February 17th. I think that's a Wednesday, if I'm not mistaken. And the second round of diagnostic testing, which is conducted through iReady system for grades K through 8. State testing is to begin in March. NJ GPA, I think that's scheduled for March 11th, if I'm not mistaken. AP testing done in June, and the access of bilingual students to be taking place as well, I think in March, or ending in February. Sorry for that. And that is all, folks.
Thank you, Board Member Gonzalez. At this time, I'd like to welcome and recognize our student representative who is here with us this evening from Camden High School, Ms. Deanna Fuchs-Benbow.
Hi, my name is Deanna Fuchs. I'm a 12th grader at Camden High School, And I think some things that we have been progressing on are getting students to school on time and getting students to class and keeping them out of the hallway. And one thing that I think we could grow on is our social climate, because the only thing that's truly holding us back at this point is the fights. And I know Camden High had a few yesterday, and I've seen a couple around the building, so I think that's the one thing that we need to work on.
Thank you,
Thank
Deanna. At this time, I'll now turn the meeting back over to Superintendent McCombs.
Thank you so much, Ms. Fuchs, and thank you for representing your students and the staff members, but specifically the student voice at Camden High School so very well. You were confident, you were focused, you were concise, but we know exactly what those focal areas are. So thank you so much for standing up and speaking courage to power. We thank you for sharing the improvements that have occurred, and we are also very much aligned with you and aware of and are working proactively to continuously improve the social climate at the building, the entire campus, not just at Camden High School. So we will continue to keep you updated. I look forward to the next student roundtable session so I can hear in more detail what's happening, what changes are, what the impact is of the changes that we will be putting in place so that we can ensure that those numbers go down, the number of fights and the number of incidents that are not in alignment with what we want to see in our school. So thank you for your honesty as well. I'll open it up at this time to see if there are any board members who would like to address Ms. Fuchs before she has to leave this evening.
Do we have any board members that would like to address?
Just regarding the student safety and I guess the incidents that are taking place at Camden High, just to make you aware that even in today's presentation, you'll see the data of the safety and the incidents that happen in our school buildings is something that we have been monitoring and talking about behind closed doors to ensure that it's something that we stay on top of it and that we minimize as many incidents, which is something that we have to report to, which again we'll report about it today, but it is something that we're looking into.
Any other board members? Thank you for sharing. Continue to, share the grows and glows. The information that you provide us, helps us continue to know the areas that we need to focus on. So we appreciate you. Thank you.
Thank you. And at this time, I'd like to invite the board down to the seating area for our presentation, and then afterwards we'll return back and our board vice president or his designee will acknowledge our retirees.
All right, thank you so very much to our team that makes sure that we have everything in place that we need for our board members. We thank you and we appreciate you because we seldom acknowledge you. So let's give a round of applause for our communications, engagement, board setup, everything we need them to do for our team. Thank you so very much. We appreciate you. So good evening, everyone, and we want to thank you for joining us for our January regular advisory board meeting. We are excited to welcome everyone back, and we will move forward with our presentation. So at this time, we will begin. I will share some information about two individuals, and then we'll have a collective moment of silence for both of those individuals. Mr. Terrence Pace, who many of you may recognize, who've been in the district for quite some time, was a former school security officer in the district and was hired on September 1st, 1997. He worked at Wiggins, Camden High School, and Davis. Mr. Pace was known for his kind words. He never missed one day of work. You could always catch him in uniform, even after work hours. He never left his assigned parking lot post and greeted every visitor with a smile. Mr. Pace was committed and dedicated. He took his job seriously, and he was an awesome team player. We express our gratitude to Mr. Pace, his family, and condolences to his loved ones. Officer Pace was known again for being a kind person. Additionally, he never missed a day of work. He never missed one day of work. You could always catch him in uniform, even after work hours. He never left his assigned parking lot post and greeted each and every visitor. He took his lunch on time every day and was committed and dedicated to the safety and well-being of our staff and students. Overall, he never complained about anything and was a good friend to his peers. We acknowledge and we salute the life and legacy of Officer Pace. And after the next, you can go on to the next slide, we'll have a combined moment of silence. Tyree Nichols. Tyree Nichols, as I am sure you are all aware, is the 29-year-old man who died senselessly after a traffic stop in Memphis, Tennessee. Upon release of the horrific video footage, as I already shared with our entire staff, my heart wept for this loss of life, and I know I was not alone. I shared communication with our school community on resources that our staff and students may use as we all deal with this tragedy. Our prayers go out to his family, our community, and our country. Over the weekend, again, I sent a letter regarding the video footage of the brutal beating of Mr. Nichols. As your superintendent and as a mother, once again, my heart ached. I am certain that I am not alone as we all try to process the horrific details and images bombarding the media incessantly. As adults, again, it is difficult to manage the tides of emotion evoked by viewing this troubling incident. Let us all take a moment of silence right now. Our deepest sympathies go out to Mr. Nichols, his family, and friends, and we also will acknowledge Officer Pace together. A moment of silence, please. Thank you. As we transition into our board agenda, we just have a few items that we would like to update the board on this evening. So let's move right into our agenda with our January focused topics. The Camden City School District remains committed to our vision for pre-K to high school to provide learning environments where all students are valued, accepted, and prepared to positively impact their community and the world. Next slide. In order for our students to thrive academically and social-emotionally from pre-K to 12, we must ensure they feel safe and fully included in their learning environment. And I think Ms. Fuchs was a great representative and shared the sentiments of some of our young people. As a school district, we are required to report to the board twice a year on our student safety data system information, and I will do just that on the next few slides. All public schools in New Jersey, as well as all approved private schools for students with disabilities, must report annually on the student safety data system. The Camden City School District must certify that all schools in the district have reported to the SSDS at the end of report period 1, which is now at this January board meeting, and then again after report period 2 at the end of the school year in June to certify reporting is complete and accurate for all schools for the entire school year. The next slide just shows some of the terms that we want to make sure everyone is aware of when we talk about the student safety data system information. So there are a few broad categories. Vandalism, and you see it there. I won't read it all for you, but it is important that I make sure I'm being very transparent. So Vandalism includes arson, computer trespass, damage to property, false public alarm, and theft, as well as general trespassing. Violence includes assaults, fights, kidnapping, robbery or extortion, sexual assault, sexual contact, threat, criminal threat, and simple assault. The 5 categories of incidents reported again include violence, vandalism, substance offense, weapons offense, and HIB confirmed cases only. These incidents will be reported publicly by the New Jersey Department of Education in those categories, those 5 categories that I mentioned. The next slide shows the total district count by school of SSDS incidents. The total district count is 68 total incidents that have been logged through our Genesis system and our student safety data system. And if you take a look on the slide, you can see school by school which of our schools had certain types. I'm going to step away from the mic, and I hope you can hear me. If you can't hear me, just let me know, but it's easier for me to read it here. So if you take a look, you'll see Camden High School at the top had the most incidents when you look across collectively at the various categories. Any area where you don't see a bar, that school had 0 incidents that were SSDS incidents. And so you can take a look, and you'll also see that Morgan Village Middle School also had this. So they had actually Eastside High School, and then Morgan Village Middle School has a next highest amount of incidents. And so this will all be located on our district website under the advisory board section, superintendent's report, so that if you want to go back and take a look at each area, you can. The blue area represents those violent incidents of violence. The red section represents vandalism. The yellow, substance. The green, weapons, and the other category is in that orange color. And so the total number of incidents added up and tabulated here in student safety data, in our student safety data system, is 68. Next slide. So this slide highlights the district and school HIB investigations. And I'm so glad we have activity buses because we didn't have them before. So I'm glad that our young people can get to and from their extracurricular activities safely. So kudos to our SBA, Mr. Cox and his team, for making sure that that happened. So again, as we transition back, the district and school HIB investigations, this shows, again, a graph of the number of HIB harassment, intimidation, and bullying investigations that were completed. There were 14 total HIB, or harassment, intimidation, and bullying investigations. During this reporting period, again, there were 14 district-wide HIB investigations completed. This is just HIB, not the violence, the vandalism reports that I showed on the other slide. This is just focused on HIB. Morgan Village Middle School had the highest number of HIB investigations, a total of 7. In the high schools, Creative Arts had 2 HIB investigations. All other schools had 0 in the high school bracket. Of the elementary schools, Caddo had 2 HIB investigations, and Yorkshire had 3 HIB investigations. All other elementary schools had 0. So again, district-wide, there were 14 HIB investigations conducted. Next slide. So of the 14 HIB investigations that were conducted, 2 out of those 14 were confirmed to be actual HIB cases. One at Morgan Village Middle School and one at Yorkshire School. These 2 investigations were founded on the basis of sex, sexual orientation, and meanness, and those are the categories that are given to us to report out on. In this slide also, we, of course, we don't acknowledge any students, their information that would identify them, their any personal identifying information, but I do want you to know that the allegations of harassment or bullying on the basis of sexual orientation, that was the allegation that was founded at Morgan Village Middle School, and the remediation and discipline was student counseling, parent conferences, and the investigator we are required to report out was Mr. Kenneth Miller, who is the school counselor and anti-bullying specialist. The second incident that was founded was at Yorkshire Family School, and the allegations that were founded were allegations of being mean to another student. In this case, the remediation or discipline was student counseling, out-of-school suspension, parent conferences. And Ms. Christina Watley, the school counselor and anti-bullying specialist, conducted the investigation. Next slide. So that is the what. So what? So that's the what. So now what? We know what the data shows. We've looked at the data. Our team has been doing an excellent job of scrubbing the data to make sure it was very, very accurate and clean. And so now that we know the data that we're looking at, one incidence of HIB is too many. One fight is too many. One vandalism attempt is too many. But what are we doing about this? And so, for the benefit of the board, there are two areas that I want to focus on right now. There is a district-wide global compliance network training that all staff members must undergo on a yearly basis. That global compliance network training for district-level administrators, staff members, anti-bullying coordinators, specialists, teachers is a 9-hour training on the topics of Anti-Bullying Bill of Rights Act, characteristics or needs of individuals or groups at risk for HIB, including those who bully victims of HIB and bystanders, conflict resolution, cyberbullying, HIB consequences, HIB intervention, HIB prevention, parent involvement in HIB cases, peer relationships or peer social norms, school climate and culture improvement, social norms, social skills relationship improvement, and also suicide prevention related to HIB. So every member of the Camden City School District, and that's from me all the way to every other staff member, has to complete these annual trainings through Global Compliance Network. The second piece that you will see here with regard to training has to do with the school administration areas of focus. And these trainings are provided to our school leaders in those categories that are listed: school climate and safety, social emotional learning, making the climate and culture different to make a difference, focusing on relation, relevance, and rigor, suicide prevention related to HIB, school-based youth services for students and families, peer relationships or peer social norms, and restorative practices. So these are the topics of the training. Some of them are one-time trainings. Some of them are looped trainings where there are information sessions provided, but there are many different interactive ways that our school leaders are being engaged by their team leads and also by those who coach and evaluate them. And so it is very important that we continue to update the board on these trainings as they are augmented, this list, but also taking a look later in the year at what was the effectiveness of these trainings. Did it decrease our number of SSDS incidents or HIB incidents? So we will continue to share our offering again to ensure that we're responsive to the data, that we're responsive to what we're seeing, that we're responsive to what Ms. Fuchs from Camden High School talked to us about this evening. And so here, just to highlight a few, Brim Medical Arts, Camden High, Creative Arts Academy, Dudley, and Eastside High all participated in the HERO, H-E-R-O, School Mint Toolkit to increase positive student behavior. Camden High and Creative Arts participated in the Gain 7 Middle to High School Summer Bridge Program. Creative Arts Academy in Morgan Village participated in the New Jersey Department of Education PBI PBIS, or positive behavior in schools and support systems, and Creative Arts Academy, along with VETS and several other schools, partner with Women of the Dream in order to ensure that our young women are being provided with opportunities from middle school to high school to have robust social emotional learning, but also opportunities to visit higher education institutions and social etiquette, all different kinds of activities. And so as you can see listed, if you go to the next slide. Yep, as you can see listed here, this is a fuller, broader list of the programs, the incentives, the district initiatives that are in place as we support our young people and as we support our staff members with being able to respond to our young people who we know are still facing the remnants of the COVID-19 pandemic, but also trauma that they may have been experiencing even before then. So again, I encourage you to take a look on our district website to look at the exhaustive list of what's happening. We will continue to keep the board updated on these programs and audit and really make sure that we're utilizing those programs and initiatives that are going to be a value add. So that's our next step, refining and making our offerings more laser focused and more impactful. Next slide. To continue with the rest of our report, I just want to remind everyone that we are in the midst of enrollment and also re-registration for the 2023-2024 school year, pre-K through 12th grade. So this is just another reminder. We talked about this last month and I believe the month prior, that our window is open and it will be closing February 10th. So if you go to the next slide, and these dates are all on our district website, you'll see circled in gold there the target date of February 10th, which is almost here. That is when our 23-24 enrollment and registration main round closes. On March 7th, the main round results will be released, and May 12th, the new school registration, that is the deadline that is set. We know that for our students who are in our schools, parents have every opportunity to register their young people. If they need support, you can call the Parent Solution Center. You can go directly to your school. The office staff, clerical staff, school leaders will help you, family operations coordinators, so that we can begin, so that we will know which students are coming back to our buildings next year. That will enable us to budget, to plan for transportation, just to be ahead of the game and not to, be at the end. But we will take students as long as they're interested in enrolling in our schools. But February 10th, that's a key date. Please keep that date in mind. Next slide. So as we move into our updates, one of the things that we want to do is to continuously share our CUSAC progress updates not continuously, excuse me, but regularly, so that we are keeping the board up to date, because we know that CUSAC is the gateway into and out of local control. And so here you will see where the district stands with regard to our CUSAC scores. The bar is 80%. When it comes to gaining local control back in any one of these 5 areas. And this slide also lists for you the executive leadership team member who is responsible for ensuring that we make progress in those areas. The next county review of our CUSAC district improvement plan will occur in June. In preparation and as a proactive step, we completed a self-assessment as the executive leadership team to monitor and make continued improvements. Through our self-analysis, we believe that our fiscal score has risen from the 73% that we earned during our last CUSAC review to 87%. This is our internal audit, though. This is not the county. They will come in June, and they will be able to confirm our results. In operations, we believe we have moved from 62% to 87%. In instruction and programming, we believe we have increased from 62% to 70%, and in governance from 77% to 89%. We will not be rescored in the area of personnel since we are already above the 80% threshold. And let me just step back for a second. For the instruction and programming, the large piece that is taken into consideration there is achievement test scores. And so until our overall achievement test scores rise, we will be at a certain level with regard to instruction and programming. But our curriculum team has done an awesome job in ensuring that our curriculum were reviewed, revised, presented to me, recommended for approval, approved by the board on time, and that we're revising our other curricular areas as those revisions are needed. So kudos to the entire team, my executive leadership team, and the work that you're driving. It is making a difference. We see it day by day, but our goal is ultimately to ensure that we're able to shepherd the district back into sustainable local control. Next slide. Thank you. Thank you. That is good news. I know, I need to slow down. Let's all take it in. It is good news. We're moving in the right direction. Next slide. Pre-K. This is something else to be excited about. We shared at the last board meeting that there were hundreds of students, I believe 500 plus of our pre-K students who did not have their immunization, their flu immunizations, and so they were in danger of being excluded. Based on the very, very, very hard work and smart work of our student supports team with our nurse Renee Wickersty at the helm, along with Dr. Berkeley and the rest of the team, they were able to, and collaboratively, I don't want to start calling names because everyone, it was all hands on deck for this. We are now at 99%. There are only 19 of our pre-K students who don't have their immunizations, but they have appointments, they have opportunities for free immunizations, so that is dramatic. We want to make sure that all of our young people, especially our youngest learners, don't miss one single day of school or instructional time because of a flu shot. So I am grateful to our partners at Virtua, South Jersey Family Medical Center, CamCare, Cooper, all of the health organizations have just jumped right in and supported us. So again, thank you, and we are so grateful to our parents for responding. Next slide. Attendance matters. So it begins in pre-K. We want to remove every barrier to any barrier to attendance and anything that contributes to chronic absenteeism. And so for the past 2 years, we have intentionally focused on increasing attendance in our district, and at our board meetings, we want to shout out those schools that have been able to reach 90% for the number of days that you see. Now, we want, and our desire is for all of our students to be in school 100% of the time, but we know that there are still some barriers that we are working on with the reduction of truancy, chronic absenteeism, et cetera. And so I want to make sure that we do take the opportunity to share certificates of achievement with those schools in recognition of having 90% overall average daily attendance, and these are for the month of December. So I want to call those schools. If there are representatives from those schools, please come forward. If not, we will make sure that your certificate gets to you. The certificate reads, for good or improved attendance, certificate of achievement, we award this certificate to, first school on our list is Davis Family School, in recognition of having a 90% overall average daily attendance for the month of December 2022. It is signed by Dr. Joanne Berkeley, Dr. Marilyn Martinez, and myself as the State District Superintendent. And here's Principal Montague. Let's give her a round of applause. Give her another round of applause. Excellent, excellent, excellent. Oh. As if you haven't walked enough all day, up and down those stairs at Davis. Thank you. Thank you. All right, next school, Morgan Village Middle School. I'm not sure if there's anyone here, but excellent job. Next school, the Dr. Charles E. Brim Medical Arts High School. Excellent. Principal Macrina is on her way over, and she is ready. Here you are. Thank you so much for motivating our young people. I like it. Not a problem. This is on your time. Thank you for being here. Let's get a picture together. No problem. The Octavius V. Caddo Family School. Anyone here from Caddo? Yes. Excellent, excellent. Thank you for being here this evening. Okay. I hate to make you walk up the steps. I know it's a long walk, right? Thank you so much. Thank you. Creative Arts High School. Creative Arts. I will hold you. I see movement. Yes, Dudley. Thank you to our lead educator coming down to pick up. Thank you, lead educator Ford. Thank you. Awesome. And we will make sure the other schools receive their certificate. Let's continue to motivate our students, motivate our families, support our families. We're doing everything possible, but it takes all of us to do that. Thank you so much. Next slide. On the next slide, I'm just going to highlight for a moment our every other Wednesday PD sessions. And one of the things that we've been working on is trying to make sure, again, I keep referring back to Ms. Fuchs from Camden High, who spoke to us, our beautiful student board rep, but trying to do everything possible so that we can minimize the number of fights and challenging behaviors we're having in our high school areas by really pairing up our schools with social, emotional supports, resources, organizations that will really be able to help our young people. And so one of the things we've done is to enhance our secondary school offerings. The school-based youth services team has really taken the lead on sharing those resources, those individuals that they contract with, on our every other Wednesday PD days to provide supports to our young people, therapeutic interventions, social and emotional wellness activities, healthy youth development presentations, and you see some of the organizations listed on the left. But these expanded partnerships started this month, and we're monitoring the impact on SSDS data, on HIB data, on reducing those violence, vandalism, et cetera, incidents by looking at, how effective are some of these programs, and this list is not exhaustive, and also looking at where we can improve upon our interventions for our young people. So again, this is just the next step in trying to build out that more robust offering for our young people on our every other Wednesday PD dates. And next slide shows what's been happening with our teachers, our staff members during these PD dates. And so for January 4th, you can see there, I won't go into detail, but our curriculum team led by our chief academic officer and the senior lead educators of curriculum, our SLEX, presented the January 4th PD in areas from K-5 math all the way through to ESL bilingual access, test administrator recertification, and dual language elevation modules. So again, this was the array of offerings that were shared on January 4th. Next slide. On the January 18th PD Day, our school-based staff members leaders led professional development in these areas. MTSS and HIPStervention. Again, goes right back to the presentation that was shared tonight, the multi-tiered systems of supports. What are we doing proactively to help our young people when we know they need the added supports? And also, you'll see in middle school, just highlighting classroom management, conflict resolution. In our high schools, restorative practices, reducing suspensions, accountable talk, MTSS, differentiated classrooms using data analysis. So again, we are trying to ensure that our PD offerings are not disconnected, but they're connected to what we're seeing that our young people need, both academically as well as social emotionally. We will continue to keep the board updated on that progress. Math professional development, this is the next slide, just provides another lens into a PD offering that was held. Our grades 3 to 5 general education, special education, and bilingual math teachers have been participating in Math PD, led by Dr. Nikki Newton. Dr. Newton is a renowned educational consultant who provides training on elementary math to educators around the world. Her PD sessions have focused on addressing the differentiated needs of all students during small group instruction and math workstations. The teachers have enjoyed participating in the PD sessions and have learned a great deal. They leave each PD session looking forward to the next. So we know that when
My testimony for now. Thank you. Thank you, Ms. Smith. Superintendent, that is the last public comment. I'll turn it back to you.
I want to thank you, say thank you to our general counsel for leading us through, and thank you for our participants. Thank you, Ms. Borelli-Luke, for sharing the highlights that are happening at Brim Medical Arts School. We're looking forward to the swag store opening, and we are truly excited. Also for Cameron, I remember when he graduated. I forgot which building we were having the graduation at because we didn't have it at Brim, but Cameron was a wonderful, outstanding, caring, compassionate, and highly intelligent student. And I'm so glad to hear that he's moving on to graduate studies and that he had a chance to stop by my alma mater, Columbia University. So I'm excited to hear what's next and what's in store for him. Thank you for supporting him throughout that time. So we look forward to hearing more highlights there. To the two parents who shared written comments, I'm not sure if they're present today. They're likely not because they submitted them early. But Ms. Sandoval, we understand, I hear your concerns with regard to the triple threat of the pandemic that we've seen, the rises in numbers, COVID, RSV, as well as the flu. So again, we thank you and we hear you. Thank you for sharing your concerns with us. And please know that as a district, we do remain diligent with maintaining a healthy learning and work environment based on you sharing your concerns. I imagine that you are in touch with your child's teacher and school nurse, I hope so, to establish and maintain this important two-way communication. Also, as a district, we monitor the CDC's guidelines and maintain communication with the Camden County Health Department and follow the guidance of Dr. Pashal Nwako, who's the Camden County health officer. We are in constant communication with our school nurses and supervisor, Ms. Renee Wickersey. Weekly, we monitor cases in the district. We're still doing that. And at this time, as a district, we remain mask optional. So you definitely are able to have your children to wear their mask if that's what you so desire. And we always reserve the discretion to change back to mandated masking, just like we did after the winter break for 2 weeks based on the numbers that we see. So not only for Ms. Sandoval, but all of our family members, we want you to know that we continue to monitor closely the different communicable diseases that come up. Ms. Smith, thank you for sharing your concerns around communication, family engagement, as well as the school lunches, your child's dissatisfaction with school lunches. Thank you for communicating with us. We hear you. We will be responsive. For the first portion of what you shared, Three Kings Day is listed on our district calendar and was shared. the day prior as a reminder. However, we will review the district calendar to ensure its accuracy. With regard to school notifications, please connect with the Family Operations Coordinator at your school, Ms. Tracy Allen, to make sure your information is updated in our robocall and Genesis system. And that's for all of our families and staff members as well. Please make sure we have the most up-to-date information. Whenever updates are shared with families, it is the expectation that this information will be communicated 5 different ways: through robocall, through robo-email, robo-text, the district website, and our district and school social media accounts. With regard to food services, we thank you for the feedback. Our school nutrition team is working with the vendor to provide quality meals for our students. Ms. Arlethea Brown, our Senior Director of School Nutrition, who is here tonight as well, is happy to set up a meeting to have you visit Forest Hill to sample the food options and participate in a focus group and taste test with our school meals team to provide them with on-the-spot feedback. And Ms. Brown has done that. She really enjoys it and does that not only with parents but also students. In addition to this, our school nutrition team is adding seasoning stations for student use at each school. We currently offer breakfast, lunch, and dinner at Forest Hill, breakfast, lunch, and dinner to every student at Forest Hill, and the school nutrition team, along with Whitson's, takes pride in providing nutritional, tasty food options, and we look forward to delving into the feedback that was provided so that we can make a difference in those areas. Again, thank you for our family members who sent in a written comment and for our staff member who shared tonight via public comment. If there is nothing else, I'll turn it over to our board secretary. I will turn it over to our board vice president, Mr. Nnamdi Nelson, to engage the board to see if they have any questions or comments.
Thank you, Superintendent. At this time, are there any board members that have any comments? Board Member Martinez?
Yes, good evening. My comments are just based on the superintendent's report. 2 things I wanted to highlight or talk about, one of them being the digital equity. Superintendent, thank you for your administration and the team putting a focus on this, as we know that the biggest divider on the digital gap is income, and that may be an issue within our district. So I'm glad that we're striving to make sure that the divide is minimized. The second thing is, as I saw the picture with all the students, the middle school sports, all level of sports, I think the coaches, I want to make sure that we think about the coaches as well, Superintendent, and making sure that they are recognized as volunteers as well. I think that sometimes what they put in and what they get out is a difference, and we got to make sure that as we look at all of these safety issues, kind of remember the fact that the mentors, like the coaches, are the ones that can help us long term. So I just wanted to share those comments, and thank you very much.
Thank you, Board Member Martinez. Any other board members have comments at this time? Yes, Board Member Alvarez.
Thank you, VP Nelson. I actually want to thank Mayor Karstafen as well as you, Superintendent, for acknowledging us as a board. I'm proud to sit on this board, not only serving the families and the students, but the faculty as well of the great city of Camden. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Alvarez. Board Member Gonzalez.
Thank you for that. I do want to highlight in regards to one of the parents and Mrs. Smith in particular, her comment. And I do want to highlight and commend the communications team of our district, which I know they do a great job in communicating to our families in an effective way, in the most effective way. And just to kind of pinpoint that, if it's through the means of a Facebook post, that is a form of communication. So we do have that readily available to our families. When, in regards to the lunches, whenever it is possible that these a school visit or tour is going to be scheduled, I would like to take place in that. Also to possibly visit the cafeterias in these in the school buildings. and not just, one, if we could do possibly 2 or 3 schools where we could visit and see exactly what it is that's going on in our cafeterias. I'd appreciate that. And lastly, as we see in your reports and many of the other reports, there's a lot of highlights, and Value has been a big advocate of these sports that are and have been historically available in our district schools. But I would like to see a little bit of more highlights within our academics, achievements within our schools. And I know this is something really hard because it doesn't exist in our schools, but highlights in the arts departments. That's something that as we were all growing up, we had readily available to us. A lot of the students who back then would audition for schools like creative arts had about 6-7 years of experience because we had been playing an instrument since 2nd, 3rd grade, which doesn't really exist anymore. And again, it's not highlighted as a part of our district. So I would like to go back into that and share my advocacy into the arts program for our district, which is conversation which we can probably just continue on in the future. Thank you.
Thank you, Board Member Gonzalez. Any other board members? So quickly, I want to recognize the administrative team and all those involved in taking the lead to improve CUSAC scores in all areas to regain local control. Thank you, Superintendent, as well as your team. I want to also acknowledge everyone's hard work and efforts for the excellent attendance in many of our schools. Thank you for making the efforts through MAP during our PD days to provide extra supports for our students. I know it's still things that are being worked out, but I do think it's something that is very beneficial. Board members, thank you for your hard work and efforts to show up and have the challenging conversations behind closed doors and working collectively with the administration to come up with solutions. You take time, and I think it's something that's very helpful and beneficial. Often we speak about all the things that aren't right and what we can improve on, and this evening I would like to, for everyone that has been involved over the past 2 to 3 years, just to say thank you. Thank you for serving our students and our community. Collectively, during very challenging times, we're doing an excellent job as we still continue to improve the school environment for our students. So just thank you to everyone. At this time, I turn it back over to you, Superintendent.
Testing. Thank you, VP Nelson. At this time, I'll turn, actually, before I turn anything over, thank you to the board members. I've taken notes on what you shared. We do salute you. We do know that you're unsung heroes, and we appreciate you. And the recommendations that were provided, we will go back with the team to see what we can do to move them forward. I do believe that we will have a good report out with regard to augmenting the music and instrumental programs, because that's something that I know Tanya Wilson, one of our senior lead educators for our special areas, has been working on. So we'll bring a fuller highlight up there, back in the future. But thank you so much. At this time, I'll turn it over to our board secretary to present us with the board agenda items for approval.
Thank you, Superintendent. This evening, ladies and gentlemen of the board, I present to you our business office agenda items, which includes our bill list, totaling $39,887,453.21. And as you'll see on your agenda tonight, we also have an addenda item which includes the expansion of our district bus fleet for the 23-24 school year, with the addition of 7 additional buses to be acquired for 23-24, and that includes 5 54-passenger buses, along with 2 25-passenger buses with wheelchair capabilities. So that'll be 7 additional buses that we add to our fleet for the 23-24 school year. And with that, I will turn it back over to you, Superintendent.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Board Secretary. Will those buses have the district's name on it? The buses will have the Camden City School District's name on And we can have our own advertisement on our buses. Yes, yes. Thank you so much for that update. I'm sorry. I digress. I would like to, at this time, in accordance with the powers vested in the State District Superintendent under Title 18A, I hereby approve today's superintendent's agenda items and business office agenda items. I turn it back to the Board Secretary for adjournment.
And it's time for the magic motion. At this time, I'll open the floor for the motion to adjourn the meeting as of 7:27 p.m. We have a motion. Do we have a second? We have a motion and a second to adjourn this January 31st meeting of the Advisory Board of Education. All in favor? Any opposed? Hearing none, this meeting is adjourned as of 7:27. Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Have a safe evening and a ride home.